And I didn't do it on purpose. It was, I put oil in an older car that I had, and in my haste, I forgot to put the oil cap back on. So half an hour later down the road, all the oil had come out, and my car was no longer functional. And I had to spend $3,000 on a used motor, on a used motor for like a Japanese, because it was a Corolla. So it was a Toyota, so I could buy like an engine that had like 40,000 miles on it. Okay, but that still cost $3,000. Back then, it cost a lot more now. That was the mid-90s, so long time ago. All right. Notice they mentioned the unauthorized repair clause. That's not necessarily in yours. They talk about transfer of ownership. Now, this is kind of an important thing that'll come up. This is another one of those elements, is the whole notion of ownership. Who owns the product? In this case, they say the service contract is transferable with ownership. So, in this case, for this particular feature, ownership is transferable. Okay? It is transferable, but they do give you, okay, but you have to spend money on it. Oops, $25. They want you to spend money on it. Some products are not transferable. Some products may have, and I'll just put this in red because it's not this particular product, but some products may be original only. The moment you sell it to somebody else, the moment you give it to somebody else, you are no longer the original purchaser. It does not count. Now, I know the question is coming up, what about gifts? And gifts is a little different. If you purchase a gift, an unopened gift, and you give it to somebody with a receipt, they are considered the original purchaser.
Okay.
Cool. So I wanted to cover that. I wanted to cover that because I knew that question would come up. Like, hey, someone bought me a gift for Christmas, and they gave it to me and it broke. Does that mean I'm not the original purchaser? No. They give you the receipt. At the time that you open it, you are the original purchaser. So, yes.
Okay, so I'm getting my mom's car. If the ownership isn't transferable, will everything I do wrong with my car go on her record?
No. What depends, like, for example, is the car still under, like, warranty at all? How old is the car?
It's a 2005.
2005? Probably not.
She still has the car note.
Huh?
She still has the car note. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, I don't.
6 years.
It depends on the type of car. It depends on when she bought it, what they were offering at the time. Some places you get 10 years, 10,000 miles, or 100,000 miles. It really depends. I don't know what that is. But the thing about it is that if she like transfers ownership to you, you need to pay. You would need to check what the transfer. If they're still under warranty, you need to check what the rules are, because if the rules are that it's still original purchaser, then maybe she still could consider the owner of the car, but you're driving it. If she's still the owner of the car and you're driving it, then the warranty would still be valid because she still owns it. Does that make sense? But if there are ownership transfer rules and you transfer ownership, and the warranty could be invalidated at that point. So your car's a little bit older, but say you bought a car 2 or 3 years ago and then you want to give it to one of your kids, okay, you need to check the rules on that to make sure that the warranty is still covered. If it's not, you need to figure out a way that you maintain ownership so that it's still covered under warranty, because again, it just depends. That's one reason you have to look for these things, because these things will tell you what your rights and obligations are. Okay? So you may have the right to transfer ownership, you may not. Okay? So, again, a video game system, I have it for 6 months, I sell it to a friend of mine because I don't want it anymore. The warranty on most video game systems is not transferable, so it doesn't count. So they're hosed. But after 6 months, you'll find out they're hosed anyway. Because, again, video game systems are real cheap in what they cover and how they cover, yes.
I was going to ask you about phones, but then I figured it out.
Yeah, phones, it really depends on the company, each individual company, and that's why they also have the insurance contracts, the extended service contracts. Like Apple has their Apple Care, which is you extend it over a period of 2 years, and they cover different types of damage. Okay, other phones, you have a certain amount of time. It just depends on everything. Everything you buy has a different time period. You need to kind of pay attention to how long it's covered and what's covered. That's why with a phone, because a phone is so fragile and because you can damage it in so many ways, that's why insurance may be worthwhile if you are clumsy. I have dropped a phone in a cup of coffee. I know what happens to the phone after you do that.
Did you reach in and grab it?
Well, yes. No, I just let it swim in the coffee, and I'm like, ooh, coffee, phone, what the heck?
Okay, so like,
Yes.
for me and my sister, we switched phones, which means like I took my SIM card out of mine and put it in hers, and same thing. That, like, I don't know what I'm trying to ask.
You switch phones?
Yeah.
They may not be, are they fairly new?
Oh, no.
Well, they're probably not even covered under warranty anyway. If they're older, they're probably not covered anymore anyway. But if they were only like, a couple months old, then you would have to check the rules because it may have violated. And so in that situation, if one of them broke, then you'd have to switch the SIM cards back. And then, because they'd know that it was someone else's SIM card, so someone else had it and it's not yours anymore. Okay, so you have to be really careful. And that's why, and it's nice, you're the first group in 4 or 5 years of teaching this now that's actually asking some really good questions. Okay, so that's good. So obviously you care about your stuff. Yes.
But like most phones now with like the smartphones and stuff, most of them don't even use SIM cards anymore. Just like on mine, there's no SIM card on it. It's just set up like once I turn it on, once I set it up, it's that one thing.
Well, no, it actually depends on the carrier. That depends on the carrier. I have AT&T, we have SIM cards. Okay, Verizon has a totally different thing. That's why like when they made the iPhone, they had to come up with a different design a little bit for the Verizon because they have a different, they don't use SIM cards. So, but that's why you could like take your SIM card from like, AT&T, you could like transfer over and you could use your SIM card in a Sprint phone, or you could change phones interchangeably. Although AT&T did have a way of knowing if you would put your SIM card in an iPhone, they eventually would catch you. A friend of mine found that out. She tried to put her daughter's SIM card from her phone because her phone broke into her old iPhone, and it only took a couple months for them to say, yeah, you owe us this money for using iPhone. So they knew. Because there's data on there and there's things that happen. The SIM card, they can tell. Anyway. Alright, so you have cancellation clause. Okay, so they may have cancellation clauses. It says may be canceled by the purchaser for any reason. Okay. If you cancel the service contract, they tell you what in this case they tell you what you get back. In this case you get like a prorated rate for maybe some money you spent if you cancel the service contract. So say you've had it for 2 months, you're like, I don't want the service contract anymore, I want my refund, they'll give you a prorated rate, which is pretty good for a service contract. Usually you don't get that. Once you pay for it, you pay for it. So as a feature, this would be a great service contract for whatever this is. It says contract insurance. This is legal information. You're always going to find legal information. And they also have a renewal clause where they mention discretion. But these are some other different types of features. Okay, we're going to keep looking at warranties because we're going to be using those on Friday. We'll look at the other types of documents later on. We're going to keep looking at warranties. I should share one here, and I'm going to email this as well. Okay, because of the
Missing people?
Because of missing people, and that's also why I'm videotaping some of this. Taping some of this so that those people can. It's over there. The iPad. I have the iPad set up recording the smartboard. Did you not get one? I mean, I actually had. Well, no, I'm going to show you some of today, one's on Friday. But for right now, we're all right. So where are we here?